On the previous episodes of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, the players now have 2 shards of Golorr that they need to use to unlock the Vault of Dragons and claim the wealth hidden inside. They have one from the Watery Temple, and the other from the Shrine to Azuth. As for the last 2 that they're looking for, one is hidden in Skull Port, held by Jaraxel Banray, and the other is in Avarice, the Thieves' Guild. In the previous game, they had split the party, sending Peleios off by himself to scout out the headquarters. They had attached him to the underside of the submarine and had him ride into Skull Port. However, the trip took more than 1 hour to get there, so he popped out of his octopus form and got lost in the caves, encountering a group of sea hags, and then everything faded to black for him. "That's fine," Val said. "He probably got knocked unconscious. Maybe he got himself into a little bit of trouble while he was down there?" They cast water breathing and swim down into the caves after him. They followed the same route that Peleios took before, descending off the ocean shelf toward the Swiss cheese of caves. Now the problem is, how do you find out where he went? They ask, "Hey, wait a second, if he's unconscious, we should be able to cast locate object to find him, right?" "You know what?" I say, "You cast it, and it works. You know where he is." Wren's like, "'Cause he's a corpse." Tuff's like, "Don't say that. We still got time. We can still rescue him." The players spend hours swimming through the caves, fight the sea hags, to eventually find his mangled corpse, eaten and picked apart by the hags. Val was despondent. "Oh no, oh no." Peleios' player nodded. I had talked to him beforehand, and he's like, "Yep, that's what happened. 100% agree. There's kind of no 2 ways about this. Like, he was down there by himself. Like, unless we could figure out a way to save him before then, he's dead." This was between sessions we were talking. It was actually convenient, the way this all shook out, because unfortunately Peleios' player was busy and having to hop in and out of sessions whenever he could make it, so he won't be joining us for the next game. So I was like, okay, next time you show up, you can make a new character, but we were 2 sessions away from the end of the game, so the next time he was able to show back up, it was for the next campaign. Val felt bad. I kind of feel like maybe I sent him to his death. Wren was like, "Huh, that's weird. What gave you that impression?" he said sarcastically. "Was it by any chance the fact that we sent him down here by himself without any way for him to get back?" The players are now in Undermountain. They climb a set of stairs and out into the new hall. So, once again, just to describe Undermountain, it is a set of these old, ruins that are kind of crisscrossed under Waterdeep. The place itself is so large that it's like its own continent, with unique regions and species and languages. The party made their way through the maze of passages down to Skull Port. As they were traveling down one of the chambers, they hear honking. Honk, 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 honk. "Hello! It seems like someone is in need of fun!" Approaching them was 3 clowns, dressed up with white powder faces, bright, colorful outfits, and wigs, juggling objects. "Ah!" Val screamed, moving away from the 3 clowns. Together, the 3 clowns recited a performance. "Bingle, bangle, and bow, here to keep you on your toes. Answer our questions right, you'll receive a new delight." Val backed away going, No. These guys are bad news to me." Tuff was confused. "What's the problem with clowns? They seem nice." "Of course we're nice," they said. "We have presents for you." Val was more suspicious. "What are they doing down here?" "Spreading joy to all the good girls and boys." "Laughter is the best medicine after all." So, this might come as a surprise to the audience, but Val actually thought the clowns in A Dungeon of Death were weird. I know, right? Why would they be weird? They started their first question. "What gets broken but can never be held?" Tuff thought for a moment. Val suggested, "A promise?" "Correct!" They cheered. 2 clowns did a cartwheel in unison, honking their horns. One reached into their bag, pulling out a ruby and handing it to them. I mentioned that the clown handing it to you notice has long claws. Like, its hands seem inhuman. The other one then asked, "When I take 5 and 6, I get 11. The clown asking held up a hand of 5 fingers and another hand with 6 fingers and put them together. "But when I take 6 and add 7, I get 1. What am I?" When he showed the numbers on his hands again, one hand had 6 fingers, the other had 7. Val screamed again, "It's a clock! Can we just go now?" "Right again! For you, a present!" Pulling out of their bag this time was a rose. The third one then asked, "I have cities, but no houses. I have forests, but no trees. I have lakes, but no water. What am I?" The players thought about it for a good while before Val suggested again, "A map! It's a map!" Oh, 3! This deserves something special!" They pull out a newspaper and hand it to them. Not a special newspaper, just an old one. "Something extra especially special. But first, answer us something. What do all 3 of those things that we gave you have in common?" They thought about it. A ruby, a rose, and a newspaper. Val once again piped up, "They're all red. I don't care." "Aha! Success!" The clowns handed the players some magic items. "You get a prize!" Val was like, "Fine, let's just get out of here," pulling the others behind him. Tuff was like, "But wait, they're friendly. Don't you think you're being kind of mean?" "Don't know, don't care," he says. "Anyone who survived this long in this monster trap-infested cave has gotta be bad news." Tuff waved goodbye to them as he was dragged away by Val. They waved back. He didn't seem to notice or care that the way that they were moving their arms, they seemed to have one too many joints in their arms, like they were AI-generated people or something. The players made their way through Undermountain, navigating past scary underground monsters and traps to finally arrive in Skullport. Skullport was the undercity of Waterdeep, a place where criminals could avoid the watchful eye of the government. Although probably not that watchful, since everywhere the players went in Waterdeep, they ran into one crime after another. It was a colossal cavern, which arched up to a ceiling several miles across, holding an underground lake. In the center of this lake were ramshackle huts and beat-down houses. A bridge spanned the water, lined with torches guiding people on their way. Floating in midair, near the entrance, was a little jellyfish with eye stalks. "Hello," it said. "It's always nice to see a new face down here in this gloom." Tuff let out a gasp. "Is he a flumph?" Yes, it was a flumph. Tuff asked, "What's his name?" pulling out a little notepad. Tuff's players absolutely loved flumphs. "My name's Dizzy." "You're coming with us now," Tuff said. "It's great that you decided to join us. We could really use the help." Dizzy seemed confused. I don't know if I agreed to go with you guys." Tuff was indignant. "What are you gonna do? Wander around by yourself here? Don't kid yourself. You'll die down here without our help. This place is miserable. Come with us." Dizzy was like, "Well, this is my home." "Was your home. Now it's yours. What do you say?" "I don't know." "Then that sounds like a yes to me," Tuff said. So now Dizzy got strong-armed into the party. They headed across the bridge to Skullport to explore. As they went closer to the town, they saw, along the banks of this underground island, were poles topped with bodies. It was kind of like a Roman crucifixions before the city. These guys were enemies of the crime lords, snitches, thieves, spies, who had been caught and nailed up to die a slow, agonizing death. Among the bodies strung up, the players recognized one of them. There was a dwarf, one who had helped them earlier. Thorfinn Twinbeard! Yeah, the spy in Xanathar Guild that had worked for the Harpers, that had helped to try and get them out of prison earlier. He had gotten found out and strung up along the banks of Skullport. From this distance, the players could tell he was just barely alive. "We gotta go rescue him!" However, they did notice that there were several skulls on posts. They had small lights in their eyes, which were darting around, trying to find intruders. These skulls were remnants of other victims who had been magically tethered to this place, jealously guarding the others so that none would escape the fate they themselves had suffered from. The players decided, okay, so what we're going to do is Wren will make a distraction. We're going to go in, grab Thorfinn, and escape. The players went through with this plan. They got Thorfinn out of there, dashing into the town of Skullport to avoid the floating skulls that were chasing after them. They had rescued him, but now the guild was on high alert to them. "Thanks," Thorfinn said. "I'll draw too much attention if I'm in the city. I'll escape out to one of the Harper's secret locations down here." Now they were in the city, with shady passerby not wanting to make eye contact. They asked Dizzy, "Where's Bregan Diarth?" He showed them to a fort that was on a little peninsula. This was Jaraxel Banray's hideout. Above it was the husk of a dead spider, a colossal one, the size of an entire building, draped across it. They had hollowed out the dead spider and were using it as one of the upper rooms of the fortress. Val pointed out, isn't that kind of, disrespectful? You'd think if these guys actually worship spiders, like they'd be worried about the sacrilege. It's like a cleric calling out a giant and living in it or something. The players went through a scene where Val turned into a bird. Together they infiltrated the walls, cast locate object to find where the shard was. It turns out it was in the lieutenant's office, in the hollowed out spider. The players entered the massive spider husk to steal it back. They found it and snatched it. However, while they were inside, the lieutenant came back and alerted the other guards. The party was now in trouble, in a dead-end room above the fort. So, Tuff, as a backup plan, lit the spider webs on fire, causing the husk to buckle and shift. He managed to use a ring of jumping to leap over the walls and escape with the shard in tow. As they're escaping with the shard, they run into the Xanathar Guild, the evil eye tyrant himself, plus the flank of his thugs.
"Where are they, Silgar?"
Xanathar asked.
"Who are the ones who broke out my prisoner?"
Val spoke to Xanathar. "Oh my god, Xanathar, we saw the escaped prisoner," he said, not technically lying. "He actually ran over there to that fort and was hiding there." Xanathar thought to himself.
"I do recognize you. You did help me earlier."
As you're saying this, from the fort, the drow were rushing after them with their weapons. Okay, I said, so you're gonna try and lie to the Xanathar to get them to do a gang war. Okay, roll it. The player nervously rolls his dice. At first, I thought, this is kind of far-fetched. It's probably not gonna work. But the more I thought about it, I realized it's actually not that unreasonable. Like, from the drow's perspective, the party had just broken in. They see them reporting into Xanathar and being chummy about it. They technically don't know that they don't work for him. And we then cut to Xanathar firing eye beams at the drow.
"You dare challenge me," he cries out. "You will rue the day you decided to cross blades against the Xanathar and Silgar Guild."
He's holding this fishbowl in a tentacle next to him as he's firing eye beams down at the drow. They had successfully convinced Xanathar to fire on the drow, so now the two were going at it. While the two factions were distracted fighting each other, the group went back to the fort, stole the secret Marpenoth while it was docked. Little did I know, there was another scheme that was being brewed. Tuff asked me, "Dizzy is still with us, right?" I was like, he's getting in the submarine with you. Okay, that means he's going up with us to the surface, right? Tuff said, "If he's going up with us, he doesn't really have a way to get back down here." How's he going down? Is he going to wander through the dangerous catacombs by himself? No, I don't think so. I guess that means he's with us permanently. Unbeknownst to me, this was Tuff's scheme the entire time. The group fled out of the city, back up to the surface, docking the Scarlet Marpenoth amongst the caves, that way they wouldn't be caught. The players made it back to Troll Skull Manor. As they entered inside, there's a light of the fire by the hearth. "You guys made it back safely." It was Peleios. "Peleios!" Tuff said, ecstatic. "You're alive!" He rushed over and hugged him. "Yes, I have returned," he said. Val was relieved. "Oh my gosh, you're back! I was so sorry about the submarine thing." Peleios gave him an empty smile. "Yes, don't worry about that. It's all behind us now. I have spoken to the Elder One, and he has sent me back with a new body." Val was like, "Oh, did Peleios tell the GM he wanted his character back, so that's why he's here now?" "No," I says the GM. "He said he wanted his character dead." Ha! Val wondered nervously. Now, the weird part about this is that, okay, so the player Peleios isn't with us, but I, as the GM, was controlling the Peleios character. So it's this weird metagame situation right now, because from their character standpoint, it's like, great, he's back, wonderful. But metagame, they know something's up with him, because it's not him who's controlling his character. I, as a GM, am controlling this version of Peleios, and they don't know what this version of Peleios wants. This Peleios explained, "Okay, so what's our next plan? We've gotten the other shard, right?" Val was like, "Yeah, all thanks to you, Peleios." "It's good that my death was useful to you, wasn't it?" Peleios said, Just merely an exchange, wasn't it? Val got nervous. I mean, it turned out all right for everyone, didn't it? Peleios tilted his head. Have you ever been through the veil before? No, I have no intention to. Oh, it's inevitable, Val, Peleios said. One way or another, the pull is irresistible. We all must make the passage, some sooner than others. Tuff was oblivious to all this and was just like,
in celebration, I'm going to be making hot chocolate with marshmallows. Ooh, I'm going to toast ours a little bit on the top.
For the rest of the time Val and Peleios were near each other, Val could feel Peleios' cold, piercing stare on him that lingered even when he looked away. He couldn't help but feeling like he was being stalked. That night, the players were woken up when they heard glass breaking and the creaking of footsteps down the stairs on the first floor. Tuff emerged from his bed to see Jaraxel Banray had broken in and was invading their home.
You think you could steal from me and get away with it?
He yelled. This was the first time they had ever seen his cool complexion break, and he was furious. The players fought him. However, he was still much higher level than them and was managing to down Wren in one round. Below, his men were throwing oil down.
You set my home on fire, he said. Now I'll do the same to you.
Tuff was like, don't worry, guys. I got a plan. He then throws down a lamp, setting the ground floor on fire. Val was like, wait, hold on a second. Don't we live here? Oh, Tuff said. Yeah, we do, don't we? When the fire started, Jaraxel Banray and his agents leapt out of the window and fled, escaping from the fire, leaving them to die. Everyone except for Val was unconscious, who cast Whirlpool. He absolutely destroyed the bottom floor, but he did manage to put the fire out. Val did in fact manage to save the rest of the party. Later, Barnabas Blastwind showed up. We'll hunt him down, see if we can't find him. He's been elusive for years. Maybe now we're closer to catching him. Once he left, Tuff spoke to Dizzy.
Peleios has been acting weird.
Dizzy asked,
Weird? How so?
Tuff thought about it.
I don't know. He seems very murdery right now. You can read minds, right? I was wondering if you could maybe look into his mind and see what's going on in there.
Okay. Dizzy looked at Peleios, squinting. He changed position and got closer, really trying to read him. Peleios was starting to notice that his friends were acting weird and looked toward them. The two hid away. Tuff was like, well, what's going on? Finally, Dizzy was able to back away and let Tuff know, nothing. There's nothing going on with him. Oh, that's great, Tuffy said relieved. No, Dizzy explained. You don't understand. I'm hearing nothing, as in, there is nothing going on upstairs.
What would cause that?
Dizzy explained, it's like he's a hollow shell. I don't get any sense that there's Peleios in him. As they said that, Wren tried to hit the fake Peleios in the back of the head and knock him out. As he did that, Wren could hear the heavy thwap as he hit him. The attack, which would have knocked a normal man, just caused Peleios to let out a hollow laugh. You killed me once already, but not again. He lunged towards Val to attack him, who darted out of the way. You're the only one here I want. So, just to fill everyone on what's going on, since Peleios was a warlock who worshipped an Elder One, when he was killed, his Dark Master sent his body back as a revenant. So for a while, I had an in, air quotes, with the party, and his character just wanted to kill Val more than anyone else. For the last fight, I was kind of watching the party like a hawk, and if ever Val went down or was low HP, Peleios might just turn on the party to try and kill him. Now with the ruse gone, the fake Peleios dropped the visage, transforming into a shadowy wraith with long claws as black as the night. The players fought the dark Peleios, who was gunning straight for Val, screaming at him, You killed me! I trusted you, and you killed me! The party managed to beat him to death. The shadowy figure dissipated with a screeching howl before vanishing. Now that was taken care of, the players could turn their attention to the last shard of Golorr. So the players' next order of business was to track down the next shard of Golorr to Avarice, the Thieves Guild HQ. They had been told by Maxine where it was, so they hunted it out. They navigated to the hidden entrance, which was a walkway in the cavern over a spiked pit trap. To get past the trap door, which had to be picked in order to be opened, if someone failed, it would drop them below into the spikes. They successfully unlocked it, sneaking inside. Getting inside, they defeated the bad guys as well as the Black Viper and regained the Shard of Golorr. They also managed to recover the Scarlet Missives, which were the documents that the Harpers needed to oust Judge Corliss Thane. Also, it's been a while since this has became plot relevant, but the leader of the Harpers Guild in Waterdeep is Romalia Haventree. She knows where the location of the Vault of Dragons is, but she's not going to give them the information to them unless they free her from prison. I know in the book, technically, the Stone of Golorr knows where it is and just tells the players. She had been wrongfully arrested and her assets seized by Judge Corliss Thane. So they now had the missives, they were able to get her out of prison, and they get the information that they wanted. The players got back to the inn with the shard in hand. The players put together the 4 shards of Golorr into one piece, and it spoke to them.
I am awake. It has been a long time since I have been conscious like this. I used to be what you people would call an aboleth, bound to serve Lord Never Remember.
You're the key, right? Tuff asked. We can use you to get into the Vault of Dragons.
No, and yes, it says.
What? So you're not the key?
It answered.
That is correct.
Then why did we chase your ass around the city?
Wait, he said before being hurled out the window. I am not the key, but I can tell you where the key is.
Fine. Where's the key?
Well, there's actually more than one, actually. There's actually several keys, and you need all of them to open the vault.
Keys, plural?
Yes, there's 3 keys, and I actually can't tell you where they are specifically, but I can tell you what they are. Now, before my players could throw me, the GM, out of the window, I had to clarify, wait, these are normal items. They're normal, not weird items. So the way that this works is that the Vault of Dragons is made up of 3 keys. I roll on a table, and those things are the keys. And what the players got was, I roll on the table. The first key is a dwarf singing the dwarven love song, Your Beardy Face. The players looked at each other. That doesn't seem too difficult. We could probably hire someone at the Yawning Portal. I roll for the next one. The Scale of a Dragon. Zulfirin might be able to help us with that one. I roll for the last one. A Platinum Bar. I guess we'll have to find it at the market. How much is it? Yeah, I think we can cover that. The players went and did the task growing, grumble, grumble, stupid key just tells us where the keys are, doesn't unlock anything, grumble, 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 grumble. The players went to the nearby tavern to hire a dwarf for their services. Then they went to Zulfirin and asked him for one of his scales. When they went down, he said fine, he would trade it, but just as long as they gave him a riddle he couldn't solve. They did it, and they got the scale, and lastly they went out and bought a platinum bar. The party then followed the directions to the Vault of Dragons. We cut to the players in front of an old opera house. The place hadn't been used in years, with a ramshackle gate across the front. They easily move aside the chain and break it. Slits of light snuck in to the slatted windows. They made their way into the props area, filled with fake angel wings, clay and papier-mâché portals, and cardboard brick wall. The party followed the directions they had been given. There was a fake archway that was leaning up against a wall. They brought forth the keys to the door, and the bricks vanished, leading to the entrance to the Vault of Dragons. Well done! You have led me right to the entrance to the gold! They heard Manshoon. He had come out of invisibility. No one other than the real Manshoon could have possibly... Tuff shot a bolt over his head. The real Manshoon attacks from the shadows, another Manshoon said, appearing out of thin air. The players began fighting with several Manshoons, all of them dedicated to defeating the players. The party managed to defeat them, entering the vault, and there they saw the mountain of gold, the end of their quest, piled with rubies, gems, valuable items. But there also was an elderly dwarf.
I have been watching this gold for someone worthy to come and claim it. Please, introduce yourselves.
So it wasn't this group, but I have a story from another group who met this guy. He's actually a gold dragon who's been watching over the gold. One of the players was like, can't we just stab this guy in the back or something and be done with it? And another player was like, we can't do that. First of all, you don't think it's weird that there's just some guy who's here? Where does he shit? There should be mountains and mountains of poop. He's got to be something supernatural. And then when the players introduced themselves and talked to him, he's like, okay, you guys did it. Here is the gold. So the trouble with this ending is, if I'm going to be perfectly level with the group, there's supposed to be kind of an argument between the players and the gold dragon where they're kind of trying to get the gold away from him. But I'm like, well, it would be really shitty for the players to come all the way out and the dragon to just be like, nah, I'm just not going to give it to you. So, like, in my notes, I decided to just kind of cut that part out where it's like, okay, we're just not going to have the argument. But then, like, in game, I didn't put anything else there. So he's just like, okay, here you go. Here's the gold. And they're like, great. So after the adventure was over, it kind of felt a little bit anticlimactic, but I thought about it. In the end, it sort of felt like the high points were kind of confronting the Castellanters and breaking into the Drow HQ to steal the shard, and the ending was just kind of like turning in their homework. The players managed to keep most of the money, but paid a hefty amount into taxes. But fortunately, they hired Madame de Laro's services to try and keep as much of the money as possible. Tuff used his share of the money to set up an owlbear Gilboy Chonker's conservatory to protect the owlbears. Did you know owlbears have been mauling and eating humans, which, if you think about it, humans are terrible for their diet. Too fatty and not lean. So they're trying to get some healthier foods like elves and dwarves to the owlbears. Also, they still have those massive plushies out in front of their house. So the group decided they're going to patch up the tavern and begin to renovate it. And as they're moving in with their new lives in Waterdeep, and that is where that campaign ended.